The moment I pulled into the driveway, I knew something was off. The house was too quiet. No porch light, no decorations, no noise from inside. Just the hum of my engine and a weird stillness that didn't sit right. I turned the key, engine off, and sat there a second longer than usual. My hands were still dirty from the shop, grease under the nails, sleeves pushed up from a long-ass 10-hour shift. But even with the back pain and busted knuckles, I felt kind of hopeful. Today was my birthday, the big 40, and for once, I thought maybe they were planning something. Name's Ron. I'm 40 years old. I've lived in Canton, Illinois my whole life. Work at a garage just outside of town. Married to Trina for 21 years. 2 kids, Jake, 22, and Haley, 18. Good kids, mostly. I never expected much, but this week had felt different. Weird, even. Trina kept smirking, dropping hints like, just wait till Saturday, you'll see. Jake asked me twice what my favorite meal was, and that kid hasn't asked about anything but protein powder in months. And Haley? She actually called the shop to ask what time I got off on Thursday. She never calls. So yeah, I let myself think maybe they remembered. Maybe they gave a damn. It wasn't about presents. I don't need another wallet or mug. I just wanted to be seen. Noticed. Something. Quick note. Before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? I got out of the truck and walked up to the front door, still half expecting to hear them yell surprise or something when I opened it. But the door creaked open into darkness. The air was stale. No candles, no dinner smells, no music. Not even the TV hum. Just silence. I walked into the kitchen. Nothing on the counters. No cake. No cards. I opened the fridge. Leftover chili. An open soda. That was it. I checked the dining table. Empty. Living room. Nothing but a crooked throw pillow and Trina's usual stack of unread magazines. Even the dog was gone, probably with them. I stood in the middle of the kitchen, holding on to this stupid shred of hope like an idiot. Maybe they were late. Maybe they ran out to grab food. Maybe there was a flat tire or some emergency. But the longer I stood there, the louder the silence got. My hands clenched, heartbeat ticking louder in my ears. I pulled out my phone. No missed calls. No messages. Not even a happy birthday. I went to the cabinet, grabbed a beer, and cracked it open without sitting down. My boots were still on. My back ached. But none of that compared to the weight in my chest. I was 40, and apparently, I was also alone. I stood in that dead-silent kitchen for almost 20 minutes, nursing a beer that tasted like nothing. Every sound felt louder than it should have. The hum of the fridge, the ticking wall clock, my own jaw tightening. I didn't sit, didn't move. Just waited, telling myself they'd walk through the door any minute. Maybe they got stuck in traffic. Maybe the store ran out of something and Trina drove to Peoria. Maybe Haley forgot candles. Or Jake went back out for beer. Something. Anything. I checked my phone again. Still nothing. The last message on my screen was a spam email from AutoZone. Below that, the lock screen photo of me and Trina from last July. Her in those big sunglasses, me in my oil-stained ball cap. Both of us sweaty at the state fair, smiling like things were still okay. I tapped it away and set the phone down harder than I meant to. The sound echoed. An hour passed. I tried not to pace, but my boots kept dragging back and forth on the kitchen tile. The beer was gone, so I grabbed another. Sat on the edge of the couch, eyes flicking to the door every time a car passed outside. Still nothing. Eventually, I turned on the TV just for background noise. Some dumb cooking show came on. Bright lights, fake smiles, people clapping about a damn casserole. I muted it. Then I did something I shouldn't have. I opened Facebook. Right at the top of my feed, Jake's latest post from 20 minutes ago. A beach shot, wide and full of color. Sunlight bouncing off the lake, big blue skies. And right there in the center, Trina in a floppy hat, Haley in a sundress, Jake shirtless holding a damn white claw, and Trina's parents, Carl and Doris, all smiles like it was a family vacation ad. The caption? He probably won't even notice, LOL. I didn't breathe. I just stared. The words hit me like a slap. LOL. Like I was a joke. I clicked his profile. More photos popped up. Jet skis, steaks on the grill, champagne glasses. One with Trina and Doris in robes at some spa, faces covered in mud masks. Haley doing shots. Even Carl, that smug bastard, flipping burgers like he lived here. Every post tagged at a resort on Lake Geneva. I kept scrolling, jaw clenched, hands sweaty. They'd been there for 2 days. They'd planned this. Took off together. Left me behind on purpose. I slammed the phone down on the coffee table. The glass top rattled. I stood up, heart hammering in my chest like I'd been punched. My ears were ringing. They laughed about it. They planned it, posted it, bragged about it. And I was the punchline. I grabbed the edge of the couch just to stay upright. My knees didn't want to hold me. I looked around the room. Every piece of furniture we bought together, every photo of the happy family she made me hang. It all felt fake now, like props in someone else's play. They didn't forget. They left. And it wasn't just the leaving. It was the smugness. The confidence that I wouldn't notice. That I was so boring, so invisible, so damn unimportant. I'd just shrug and go to bed. I walked back to the kitchen and opened the fridge again, not even hungry, just needed something to do. The chili was still there. A half-full jug of milk. Trina's oat milk that she swore she needed but never touched. I slammed it shut. I should have yelled. Thrown something. Called them, demanded answers. But I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I stood at the counter, staring down at my scratched-up wedding ring. My hands were shaking. I took it off and placed it on the cold granite, just to see how it felt. Lighter. Empty. Wrong. I put it back on without thinking. The second beer was gone. I opened a third, then turned the TV back on, volume up this time. Some sitcom was playing. The laugh track felt like it was mocking me. I muted it again. My phone buzzed. Finally. I lunged for it. Spam. Pizza coupon. That's when the real wave hit me. Not anger. Humiliation. Like I was standing naked in front of everyone, and they were all pointing, laughing. They knew I'd see those posts eventually. They didn't care. They counted on me seeing it, and staying quiet. Sitting here like a fool while they toasted my absence. I walked to the hallway mirror and looked at myself. Oil-stained shirt. Wrinkles under my eyes. A guy who spent 20 years breaking his back for people who didn't even care if he showed up. Happy birthday to me. I backed away from the mirror and went straight for the liquor cabinet. I wasn't in the mood for another beer. I needed something stronger. Poured 3 fingers of whiskey into a glass. No ice. And down half before I even hit the couch again. The burn helped. Focused me. My brain stopped spinning just enough to land on a question that had been poking at the edge of everything since that beach photo. How the hell did they even afford it? We weren't broke, but a resort like that? Spa days? Jet skis? That kind of trip costs real money. Money we didn't have just lying around. And Jake damn sure wasn't paying for anyone but himself. Kid had just borrowed $3,000 off me a week ago for rent. The timing stank. I drained a glass, refilled it, and got up. Walked to the hallway closet where we kept the old fireproof lockbox. The one Trina thought I never touched. Inside was our bank folder, bills, taxes, receipts, all the usual boring crap most people ignore. I carried it to the kitchen table and flipped the light on. Time to stop being the guy who gets left behind. I logged into the bank account on my phone. Nothing out of the ordinary in the joint checking, mortgage, utilities, gas. But then I checked the recent withdrawals. There it was. 4 days ago. A $3,500 ATM pull from a casino in Wisconsin. My stomach dropped. I opened the second drawer in the folder, credit card statements. Trina handled most of the bills. Said it stressed me out. And maybe that was true once, but now it just felt like a cover. I started digging. Right away, I spotted the red flag. A card I didn't recognize. Statement with just her name on it. No account linked to our joint login. Chase Sapphire. First page balance. $87,204. 11. I sat back, blinked. Pulled the whiskey close again. $87,000. That was college tuition. A new truck. A down payment on a second house. And she'd run it up behind my back? I flipped through the itemized pages. Spa packages. Hotel stays. Designer stores. 2 charges at a luxury skin clinic in Chicago, $1,200 each. Several weekend trips. 1 flight to Miami last February. And get this, 1 charge from last month. Lake Geneva waterfront villas, $5,900. So that's how they paid for it. Maxed out cards and lies. I yanked a notepad from the junk drawer, grabbed a pen, and started writing. Names, dates, charges. Every line made the picture clearer and uglier. This wasn't a one-time screw-up. It was a lifestyle, a pattern. While I was busting my ass under a lift, Trina was out blowing money on facials and boat rides. Jake's rent money? Same number as the withdrawal she made. I wrote that down too. Match up the dates. It lines up. That wasn't for rent. That was a straight handoff for their trip. Kid probably never missed a payment in the first place. The more I wrote, the calmer I felt. Not numb. Focused. Cold. Like a switch had flipped, and I wasn't allowed to feel it anymore. I just had to document the damage. I pulled out more paperwork. Trina's email printouts. Haley's school invoices. I wanted everything in front of me. I wanted the full weight of it. Every detail she thought I'd never notice. That I'd never be smart enough to question. She really thought she could hide 87 grand from me. That I'd just keep going to work and paying the bills while she played rich in secret. I found the login to her personal card in a notebook she kept by the desk. Same handwriting she used to sign birthday cards. Neat, perfect, fake as hell. I typed it in. She hadn't even bothered to change the password. Everything matched up. 3 new charges that day alone: massages, dinner, resort gift shop. All posted from Wisconsin. No shame, no hesitation. That's when I realized something that hit me harder than the birthday did. This wasn't about forgetting me. This was about erasing me. They were building a whole life without me in it. One charge at a time. I closed the laptop. Kept writing. Cross-referencing names and places. Created a column for Jake's lies. Another for Haley's sudden schedule shifts. All of it. Every breadcrumb. I didn't care if I couldn't use it legally. I needed it for me. To see it. To know I wasn't crazy, or paranoid, or bitter. Just a guy who finally opened his eyes. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I wrote until my hand cramped. Then I poured another drink. Tomorrow, I'd figure out what came next. But tonight, I had to finish the list. By the time the sun came up, I'd filled 10 full pages in that notebook. Charges, dates, lies, connections. No guessing. Just facts. I left the notebook on the kitchen table like it was still smoking and went to bed with a half glass of whiskey and a head full of fire. I didn't sleep much. The next morning, I turned off every notification on my phone. Do not disturb. No rings. No buzzes. I wasn't ready to hear anything. Not explanations, not excuses. Not Haley pretending she didn't know, or Jake playing dumb, or Trina doing that fake soft voice she used when she was caught. I didn't block anyone. I just went quiet. Day 1, nothing came in. Not a single damn message. No missed calls. I almost respected the commitment. Maybe they were too busy sipping champagne or getting one last back massage before checkout. Maybe they still thought I hadn't noticed. I went to work like usual. Changed oil, replaced the timing belt, kept my mouth shut. The guys at the shop didn't say a word about my birthday. I hadn't told them, and I was glad I didn't. Only one who asked how I was doing was Gary, the parts runner, and I just told him I was tired. He nodded. That was enough. Day 2, things shifted. Around noon, my phone lit up. WhatsApp. Trina, Ron. Please, just talk to me. It wasn't what it looked like. Please just answer. Then, we're heading home soon. I know you're hurt. I'm sorry. 3 minutes later. Haley, Dad? I'm scared. Are you okay? Can you just let me know you're okay? 10 minutes after that. Jake? Yo, what's up? You mad or something? I stared at the messages. Didn't type a word. Didn't open them. Just let them sit there like a pile of trash on the porch. I went to the grocery store that night. Picked up a few things. Bread, coffee, dog food. Even though I hadn't seen the dog since Wednesday. Right by the checkout, they had a little display of bakery leftovers. Clearance stuff. There was one single cupcake in a plastic container. Blue frosting, a candle jammed in sideways. Sticker on the lid said 49 cents. I bought it. Back home, I didn't turn on the lights. Just the one over the stove. Dim yellow glow, casting long shadows. I sat at the table, opened the cupcake, and stuck the candle upright. Didn't even light it. Just held it up with one hand, snapped a photo with the other. Me. The cupcake. The quiet kitchen. No caption. No filter. Just posted it on Facebook and put the phone face down on the table. 10 minutes later, likes started rolling in. Comments, too. One from my cousin. Damn, man. Seriously? A coworker. Wait, they didn't even wow. Then someone from high school. That's cold. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. The message was already out there. I noticed. You thought I didn't. But I did. I sat back, arms crossed, watching that candle lean in the plastic like it was about to fall. I didn't eat the cupcake. Just left it there. They were on their way back. I could feel it. The texts, the guilt, the panic. It was the sound of rats trying to climb back on the ship after they burned the damn deck. Let him come. The knock came around 11:30 that Sunday morning. I was in the garage changing out brake pads, grease halfway up my forearms, when I heard it, 3 slow knocks, the kind people do when they're trying to seem casual. I wiped my hands on a rag, tossed it onto the tool bench, and walked up the drive without hurrying. They were all standing there like a damn parade. Trina in her tight jeans and a blouse she didn't own last week. Makeup done, hair curled, holding a shiny gift bag with one hand and resting the other on her hip like this was just another Saturday. Behind her, Haley kept her eyes on the ground. Jake stood with his arms crossed, chewing gum like he was bored. And then the last two, Doris and Carl, both in matching polos, sunglasses still on. Carl had that same crooked smirk he always wore when he was about to say something condescending. Doris looked like she expected me to thank her for bringing my family home. Nobody spoke right away. Trina finally broke the silence. "Hey, babe." She smiled, all sweet like it was nothing. "We brought you something. Just wanted to." I held up my hand and pulled my phone out of my back pocket. Turned the screen around to show them Jake's post. The beach shot. The caption right there. "He probably won't even notice, LOL." Carl started to chuckle like it was no big deal. I cut my eyes toward him. "They can come in," I said, voice flat. "You two stay out." Doris's mouth dropped open like I'd slapped her. "Excuse me." I stepped forward, blocking the doorway with my whole body. I said stay out. This house doesn't belong to you. Never did. Carl looked like he wanted to puff his chest up and argue, but I didn't flinch, didn't blink. After a second, he muttered, "Fine," and turned back to the car. Doris followed, whispering something about how rude I was. I didn't watch them leave. I opened the door and stepped inside. Jake, Haley, and Trina followed, moving slow, like the air was thicker inside. They paused in the entryway. I walked straight to the kitchen, pulled out a chair, and sat down at the head of the table. Let them stand. I looked straight at Trina. "How was the trip?" Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Jake stuffed his hands in his pockets. Haley rubbed her arm and looked at the floor. The silence dragged. No one moved. No one breathed. Trina forced a laugh, light and shaky. "It wasn't even supposed to go down like that, Ron. We were gonna." I didn't ask what it was supposed to be. I cut her off. I asked how it was. She blinked, stunned. "It was fine. Just a getaway. It wasn't anything serious." "Looked serious," I said. "Jet skis. Spa days. Family photos." Haley spoke, voice low. "I didn't think." "Exactly." I snapped, eyes on her. "You didn't." She flinched. I didn't soften. Jake sat down across from me without asking. "Look, it's not like we tried to ruin anything. It just happened." "No," I said. "It didn't just happen. It was planned. Paid for. Booked." The post said everything. Trina dropped the gift bag on the table like it was supposed to change the subject. It rattled, some kind of bottle and crumpled tissue paper. This was meant to be a surprise. We thought we could celebrate when we got back, do something as a family. I didn't even look at it. You all left. On my birthday. You took money, lied about where you were going, and left me sitting in the dark. And you laughed about it. "No one laughed," she snapped, voice sharper now. I pulled the phone out again and slid it across the table. "Read the caption out loud." She didn't touch it. Haley's voice cracked. "Grandpa said you wouldn't care. He said you'd just want to be alone." "He was wrong," I said. "But more importantly, you all believed him." Jake leaned back, folding his arms. "What do you want us to say? That we screwed up?" "Okay, we did." I stared at him. "You lied to me. You took money I worked for and used it to help ditch me." "I thought it was rent," Trina said, too quick. I raised an eyebrow. "Was it?" "Because the ATM withdrawal Carl made for the resort was the exact same amount." She hesitated. Her mouth opened, closed again. That silence. That was the loudest part of all of it. I stood up, slow and steady. "You came back expecting to smooth it over. Smile, hand me a gift, act like it's nothing. But it's not nothing. It's everything." Nobody argued that. Trina tried to speak again, but I turned and walked to the fridge, opened it, and grabbed a bottle of water. I cracked it open, took a drink, then leaned back against the counter. "Next time you want to surprise me," I said, voice calm. "Try not deleting me first." I took one long sip of water, then walked back to the kitchen table where they still stood like kids caught shoplifting. Without a word, I pulled out the thick folder from the counter drawer, the one I'd been building since the night they ditched me. I set it down flat and opened it right in front of them. Papers spread out like a map of betrayal. Bank statements, credit card printouts, a screenshot of Jake's post, transaction logs, my handwritten notes in thick black ink, circled, dated, underlined. Truth in cold ink. I didn't sit. I looked at each of them, Trina, Jake, Haley, one by one. When, I asked, voice calm, did I stop mattering to you? Nobody answered. Trina tried to smile, but it cracked on her face. Ron, come on. It was just supposed to be. A surprise? I cut her off. You said that already. Here's a text from 2 weeks ago. I picked up one of the printed screenshots and slid it toward her. You sent this to your mom. We're leaving him behind, but he'll be fine. He won't even notice. That a surprise too? Her face went pale. She didn't touch the paper. Haley let out a shaky breath. I didn't want to go without you, I swear. Grandpa he said you'd ruin the vibe. I locked eyes with her. You believed him? I didn't know what to say, she whispered. He always acts like you're this, anchor. And what are you now? I asked. A passenger on his boat? She looked like she might cry, but didn't move. Jake let out a sigh and rubbed the back of his neck. Look, the money thing wasn't what I meant to do, all right? I was just trying to help cover the rooms. Grandpa said he'd pay me back. The $3,500 you said was for rent. I pulled out the ATM record. Same amount. Same date. Withdrawal from a casino an hour from Lake Geneva. You didn't borrow it. You laundered it. Jake's jaw clenched, but he didn't deny it. I thought you wouldn't even notice, all right? That's what they said. And that right there is the damn problem, I said, slapping the table with an open palm. The papers jumped. You all thought I wouldn't notice. That I was just some background extra in your little vacation. Trina finally stepped forward. We weren't trying to hurt you. But you did. It just got out of control, she said. Things snowballed. I pulled out the statement from the Chase card, the one in her name only, and slid it across the table. Snowballed into 87 grand of debt? Spa days, flights, high-end clothes, resorts, car rentals? When were you going to tell me about this card, Trina? She picked up the paper with shaking fingers. Scanned the top. Tried to speak. Nothing came out. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there and let the truth bury her. You've been living a second life behind my back, I said. One where you're rich, single, and free to blow cash like you earned it. While I was under the lift at the garage, dragging myself home with busted knuckles, wondering if I'd get a warm dinner or just leftovers again. It wasn't like that, she mumbled. It was exactly like that. She dropped the paper and reached for the gift bag again, like some token bottle of wine and a $10 candle could undo the weight of what she'd done. I pushed it back toward her with 2 fingers. You planned this. You all did. Jake didn't argue. Haley didn't look up. Trina stood there like a statue, hands shaking at her sides. I gathered the papers back into the folder, neat and slow. Closed it. Held it against my chest. You knew what you were doing, I said. Every charge. Every lie. Every smile in those photos. You knew. Haley sniffed, but didn't cry. Jake tapped his foot, but said nothing else. Trina just stared at the gift bag like maybe if she looked hard enough, something inside it would save her. Nothing would. I turned and set the folder back on the counter. Didn't slam it. Just placed it down. My hands were steady now. The work was done. You don't get to pretend anymore, I said over my shoulder. I'm not invisible. And I'm not stupid. I'm just finally done pretending I didn't see it. I woke up before the sun, no alarm needed. Just one of those mornings where your body knows something's gotta change. I slid out of my bed, and looked over at the empty space beside me. That was done. I didn't need a long speech or some dramatic scene. Trina was moving to the guest room. Effective immediately. I knocked once on the door across the hall, didn't wait. She was already awake, sitting on the edge of the bed in sweats and smudged mascara. I tossed her pillow in after her. This is your room now. Get comfortable. She opened her mouth, but I shut the door before she could make a sound. Back in the kitchen, I fired up the laptop. Logged into the bank. First thing, opened a new personal checking account. Transferred half the savings, not out of spite, just to keep things clean. Then I canceled the shared credit card right there while sipping my first coffee. Second cup in, I set Haley's tuition to auto-pay from my new account. I'd cover that part. She didn't ask to be in the middle of this mess. But everything else? That was up for renegotiation. I printed out a new list of household bills. Mortgage, electric, insurance, Wi-Fi. I circled half of each amount in red pen and slapped the page on the fridge. Trina walked into the kitchen right as I did it. "What's that?" she asked. "You're half." She blinked like I was speaking a different language. "You're serious?" I turned around. "Dead serious. You live here, you contribute. Not just spa charges and secret debt. Real stuff. Food, lights, heat. If you don't want the responsibility, the door works the same for you as it does for anyone else." She didn't answer. By noon, I had the locks changed, called in a guy from the shop I trusted. Quick job. Then I reset the Wi-Fi password and texted it only to Haley. I left Jake off on purpose. He noticed. "What the hell, Dad?" he snapped, storming in with his phone. "You changed the internet." "Yup," I said. "Didn't think you needed it. You live across town, right?" Jake tossed his phone on the counter. "So what? Now I'm just banned." "You're not banned," I said. "You're grown. You want to be part of this family again? Earn it. Otherwise, figure it out." He scoffed and grabbed his keys. "Whatever, man. Enjoy your little power trip." I followed him to the front door. "Oh, I am. And when you're done sulking, you know where to find me." He slammed the door behind him. Haley didn't say much. Just sat at the kitchen table later, flipping through mail and asking if I needed help with anything. I handed her the trash bags. She took them out without a word. That meant more than anything Trina had said in the last week. I ended the day by unplugging Trina's personal computer from the home office. Left it in the guest room. From now on, the office was mine. I hung a new calendar, pinned a checklist to the corkboard, and wrote across the top in all caps, "And no more secrets." The walls didn't feel warm. Not yet. But they felt mine. And that was a start. I was out front spraying down the driveway when I heard tires crunching over gravel. I didn't have to look. I already knew the sound of Carl's leased Ford Explorer pulling in. Sure enough, the door swung open and he stomped out, red-faced and puffed up like a toad. Michelle sat stiff in the passenger seat, sunglasses on, arms crossed tight, like she was holding in a sermon. Carl didn't waste a second. "You happy now?" he barked. "You've blown up this whole family over what? A birthday party." I turned off the hose and faced him. "Try 87,000 in secret debt and a planned ambush vacation. Not exactly cake and balloons, Carl." He stepped in closer. "You're being petty, Ron. You made your wife cry for 3 nights straight. Haley's scared to talk. Jake's sleeping on a friend's couch. You call this leadership?" I crossed my arms. "You want to talk about leadership? Let's start with how you whispered in Haley's ear that I'd ruin the vibe. Or how you told Trina to just do it without me." Carl tried to cut in, but I didn't let him. "You've disrespected me since day one. Smirking at every word I said. Undermining me in my own house. And now that I've drawn a line, suddenly I'm the bad guy? You're throwing away your whole marriage over a few mistakes," Michelle said, loud enough to make sure I heard her from the car. I looked right at her. "She's crying because she got caught, not because she's sorry." Michelle scoffed, rolled her window up. Carl threw his hands up. "You don't even see it, do you? You're burning everything down." "No," I said, turning the hose back on. "I'm clearing the smoke you lit." He stood there for another second, like he wanted to swing or spit or throw something. But I didn't flinch, just held the nozzle in one hand, water spraying calmly across the pavement. Carl stormed back to the car. Gravel kicked up as he peeled out of the driveway. That night, Trina posted some vague crap on Facebook. A blurry sunset picture with the caption, "Sometimes people change, and not for the better. Pray for strength." Subtle like a brick. I didn't comment. Didn't hit like. I let her play her little sympathy game. But the next day, 2 guys from the shop brought me coffee on break. Didn't say why. Just set it on the table and sat with me. Neighbor across the street waved when I took the trash out, first time in months. Even Gary, the parts runner, gave me a pat on the back and said, "Heard you're having a hell of a week, man. Keep your chin up." I didn't ask how they knew. I didn't have to. Truth spreads quiet. I was in the garage, changing out brake pads on a Honda with a seized caliper, when my phone buzzed in my back pocket. Thought it might be a parts delay or Gary checking in again. It was Jake. First time calling since the blow-up. "Hey," he said, voice stiff, like every word cost him something. "I'm short on rent this month. My roommate bailed." I wiped my hands and leaned back against the workbench. "Come over," I said. "Bring your paperwork." He showed up an hour later, hoodie up, laptop under his arm, shoelaces half-tied like he'd left in a rush. Didn't try to act cool this time. Just walked in, dropped his stuff on the kitchen table, and sat down. We went through everything. His lease, his pay stubs, what little was in his checking. The numbers didn't lie. He was short by almost 800. I slid a legal pad across the table. Write it down. Amount, today's date. This is a loan. He didn't argue. He wrote it. Signed it. I pulled out the cash, set it down. That's the only freebie. Next time, you ask before you pretend it's for rent. Jake nodded. Didn't say sorry. But he didn't argue either. That was enough. Before he left, he sat in the living room staring at his phone. I could see the screen from the hallway. His Instagram page, wide open. The lake photo still up. The LOL caption still sitting there like a middle finger. He stared at it for a while. Then, without saying a word, he hit delete. Haley had been showing up more and more. First just to grab a sweatshirt or charger she'd forgotten, then to hang out in the garage while I worked. She didn't talk much. Just sat on the little stool by the wall, thumbing through her phone, sometimes watching TV with me after dinner. A few nights ago, she brought home a six-pack of root beer, my favorite kind, and didn't say why. We didn't talk about the trip, or the money, or Trina. Just stuff like brake dust and TV shows, and the old dog who hadn't come back since they left. She was trying. I could feel it. Trina, on the other hand, was doing her greatest hits tour. Guilt, memory lane, backhanded digs, all of it. One night she walked into the kitchen holding an old photo album and said, "Remember our trip to Tennessee? You were so sweet back then. I miss that version of you." I didn't even look up from my plate. You mean the version who didn't check the bank account? She went quiet, then left the room. Next morning, she tried again. Made pancakes like nothing had happened. Told me she had a dream we'd taken a cruise for our 20th anniversary. I scraped my chair back, stood, and said, "You dream, I plan." Big difference. She stopped trying so hard after that. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. Done chasing her approval. Done guessing what version of herself I was going to get. Done pretending I needed her to make the house feel whole. The kids weren't all the way back, but they were showing up. Trina was still sleeping in the guest room. The air in the house felt different now. Less like waiting, more like claiming. I'd been invisible to them for a long time. Now they saw me. That was the shift. I woke up to silence. Not the hollow kind. Not the kind that used to sting. This was different. Clean. Still. Like the house was finally breathing on its own again. Coffee was already brewing. I'd started setting it on a timer. Just me, the smell of dark roast, and the dog bowl still empty by the back door. He hadn't come back, but I left it there anyway. Habit or hope, I couldn't tell. I checked my email while the mug warmed my hands. The first message was from my lawyer. Subject line, divorce petition filed, confirmation attached. No emotion hit me. No panic. No ache. Just quiet relief. It was like finally putting down a weight I didn't even know I'd been carrying for 20 years. I clicked through to Facebook without thinking. Just muscle memory. Hovered over my relationship status. Switched it from married to it's complicated. Saved it. Didn't post about it. Didn't need a speech. A few scrolls down, I saw Haley's newest picture. It was me, under the hood of the truck, grease on my cheek, her snapping the photo from the side. Caption, best dad ever. I didn't comment, but I smiled. Jake had been coming by every Sunday like clockwork, always with 2 coffees, one black, one full of cream and sugar, like he still couldn't remember how I took mine. We didn't say much. Usually just sat in the garage, talking about work, cars, bills. But he kept showing up. That was enough. Trina was packing in pieces. A box one day, a suitcase the next. No yelling, no tears, just slow movement. She avoided my eyes. I didn't stop her. She left her wedding ring on the dresser last week. Didn't say a word. Neither did I. I stepped out onto the porch with my mug, watching the sun rise over the street. Same porch I'd stood on the night I turned 40, thinking maybe someone would surprise me, that I'd open the door and feel remembered. Now I didn't need that. They tried to make me invisible, left me behind, erased me like I was the burden they couldn't carry anymore. But I made sure they saw me. 40 wasn't what I expected. It wasn't a party. It wasn't cake and candles and singing in the kitchen. It was something better. It was the year I took my life back, piece by piece, dollar by dollar, breath by breath. And that was enough.